People are leaving Colorado, and not because they stopped loving the mountains, but because they stopped feeling free. The prices went up, the traffic piled on, and the place that used to feel like adventure and balance stopped feeling that way. And a lot of those people, they're finding what they lost right here in Northern Michigan. Hi, I'm Gino D'Angelo, a Northern Michigan real estate broker, and over the years, I've helped hundreds of families relocate to Northern Michigan. And recently, a lot of those buyers have been from California, places like Denver, Colorado Springs, and Boulder. And believe it or not, those people found their way all the way to Petoskey and Traverse City. And almost every time I hear the same thing: I wish I would have done this sooner. So today, we're going to talk about why so many people are trading the Rockies for the Great Lakes, and why Northern Michigan might be the change that you've been looking for. And before we dive in, if you happen to be from Colorado, drop a comment below and let me know why you're considering moving to Northern Michigan. I'd love to hear where you're from and what's drawing you here. A lot of the people I talk to from Colorado say the same thing. It's gotten both too expensive and too crowded. In places like Denver and Boulder, housing prices have skyrocketed and it feels like you're sitting in traffic all day. In Denver, the median home price sits right around $550,000. In Boulder, that number skyrockets to $1.1 million. Now, while it is expensive to live in Northern Michigan, specifically places like Petoskey and Traverse City, it's not quite that expensive. The median home prices in both Petoskey and Traverse City are well under $500,000. And I recently had a buyer tell me that even when you get into the more high-end properties in Northern Michigan, they're still expensive, but you definitely get a lot more bang for your buck. In fact, I recently just sold a big, beautiful home in Traverse City to a client from Colorado. The home they left in Colorado was valued at almost $4 million, and the house they bought in Traverse City was under $2 million. And they felt the trade-off made a ton of sense for them and their lifestyle. In fact, you could often buy a beautiful Lakeview home in Northern Michigan for the same price as a house along the Front Range in Colorado. And if you love the open landscapes in Colorado, you'll love the sense of space in Northern Michigan. And hey, if you thought I could totally swap the mountains for the waterfront in Northern Michigan, drop a comment below and let me know. What part of Colorado would you miss the most? And what part of the Northern Michigan lifestyle catches your eye? If you're used to the Colorado outdoor lifestyle, hiking, skiing, mountain biking, and sipping craft beer, Northern Michigan might be surprisingly familiar. You might trade elevation for water, but the sense of adventure will be the same. You've got hiking and biking trails through lush forests right here in Northern Michigan. Now, one of the trade-offs from moving to Northern Michigan from Colorado is we don't quite have the same skiing elevation that you're used to. While we do have great ski hills here between Boyne Highlands, Boyne Mountain, and Nubs Knob Resort, it's not going to be as adventurous as you're used to out west. And that is definitely one of the complaints I hear for people who have skied out west, who have relocated to Northern Michigan. They say, Gino, the skiing is simply not the same. And who can blame them? Because, well, it's the truth. And if you love weekend rides through the Rockies, Northern Michigan has some scenic rides of its own. Places like M22 or the Tunnel of Trees in Harbor Springs are some of the roads that bring people from around the country to check out. It seems like every curve opens up a new view of the lake. And for foodies, if you love Boulder's craft beers or Fort Collins farm-to-table restaurants, you'll feel right at home in Traverse City and Petoskey. Michigan's local food and wine scene is booming, and it's every bit as creative as you would find in Colorado. And hey, if this content seems like your type of thing, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way you never miss a video about all things Northern Michigan real estate related. And let's face it, life in Colorado moves fast, and sometimes maybe too fast. New construction, traffic, and constant growth has changed the entire landscape of Colorado. In Northern Michigan, the rhythm is just different. Life slows down, and that's a good thing. And the reason a lot of people decide to relocate to Northern Michigan. People actually stop to talk on the sidewalk, and neighbors look out for each other. Your weekends might be boating, exploring small towns, or catching the sunset at one of our local beaches instead of sitting on I-70 in traffic, trying to get to a ski hill. If you love the freedom of Colorado's open spaces, you'll love the simplicity and connection in Northern Michigan life. I've had countless buyers tell me they were afraid that the slow pace in Northern Michigan would affect the way they live their life, but after time told me it became one of the best parts of living in Northern Michigan. And chances are, if you're thinking about relocating from Colorado to Northern Michigan, it's because you want to retire here. And for retirees, Northern Michigan offers both peace and practicality. Colorado's resort towns like Estes Park or Breckenridge have median home prices of right around $800,000. Now that's a lot even for Northern Michigan, where home prices have doubled in the last 5 years. In fact, on this channel, we talk a lot about the tale of two markets, meaning if you've been in Northern Michigan for the last 10 or 20 years, the current home prices seem very high. But if you're looking at other resort towns such as Estes Park or Breckenridge or other resort towns around the country, Northern Michigan is still a bargain, specifically when you factor in the quality of life here. And beyond housing, the cost of living index tells the story too. Boulder's cost of living is 69% higher than the US average. Colorado Springs is 18% above the national average, while places like Petoskey and Traverse City are almost 10% below the national average for the cost of living index, meaning it's actually more affordable to live in Northern Michigan than it is in the resort areas in Colorado. Another aspect of retiring in Northern Michigan versus Colorado is hard to quantify. I recently had a couple here retire in Northern Michigan who are coming from Denver who said they simply felt like they had more of a peace of mind of safety in Northern Michigan. And that is something that's hard to put a price tag on. You still get 4 distinct seasons in Northern Michigan: fall, spring, summer, and winter, but with a much slower pace and easier access. If you love the crisp air and big sky of Colorado, you'll love the lake breeze and endless sunsets in Northern Michigan. If this sounds like your kind of retirement, drop a comment below and let me know what part of retiring in Northern Michigan you look forward to the most. Now look, if you retire from a place like Colorado to Northern Michigan, there will definitely be a few adjustments. The humidity is different and the winters can be cloudier in Northern Michigan. But in a lot of places, we do get less snow here. Socially, you'll find that small town friendliness everywhere. And a lot of people settle into the different rhythms of the season here. And I'm confident if you love Colorado's cozy mountain towns, you'll love the Petoskey and Traverse City waterfront downtowns. They're walkable, local, and friendly. Whether you're relocating or retiring, Northern Michigan actually lets you keep the parts of Colorado you love. The outdoor life, the creative connected community, the natural beauty, but trade the stress and the cost of living. You don't lose your sense of adventure by moving here. You just live it differently. And if you've been to Northern Michigan or are thinking about visiting here, drop a comment and let me know what you're looking forward to most. The lakes, the towns, or just the peace and quiet. And fun fact, I read every single comment. So whether you're leaving Colorado because you're ready for a new chapter or stepping into that next peaceful chapter, Northern Michigan offers something truly special. And if you're thinking about making the move, I'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. Please reach out to me directly at 231-487-6141, and I'll see you on the next video.